back in the building, as DJ Richie Sky says. Shout out to him. I like his channel. Hi, I know it's been a while. I have realized that I post about 3 months out of each year, and then I flake on you guys for the rest of the time. So shout out to you guys for being so ride or die and still being here. And also shout out to the Facebook group who is still active and going strong. We just got back from Hawaii. I tried to make this video in Hawaii. However, the place that we were at, which was 2 blocks from the beach, the air conditioning was so loud. I couldn't do it. So we just got back from Hawaii. We're feeling nice and sun-kissed, as my shirt says. If you are a part of the Facebook group, Shades of Adoption, you will see that I have made an appearance recently in the group, and that a couple of weeks ago, I said that I was going to start making an updated video. I also gave you guys the opportunity to ask questions about just whatever. And so that's what this video is. I'm gonna give you a life update, a foster care adoption update, answer the questions from our Facebook group, and I might break it up for the Q&A to be the part 2, and then my life and foster adopt update in this one. I don't know, we'll see. Anywho, thanks for coming back. Hi guys, hi guys, hi guys. I missed you too. I missed you too. I'm sorry for being the flaky friend, flaky mom, you know, but life calls. Okay, so I guess the probably most popular question is, where have I been and what am I up to? A year ago, is it a year ago? I quit my job working for CPS as a social worker, and sold my house, and I relocated. I was set to get married. That relationship has since concluded, and I have relocated back to my original home city. I live in California, so now I'm back, and that is kind of the short Cliff Notes version of where have you been. I moved away. The Rona hit. Life was doing this emotionally for me, and I'm a big believer of self-care. I took some time to get adjusted, to get readjusted, to relocate, and also I had a lot going on in the house, because you guys do know that I had a house full of 5 kids, 5 and under, for most of 2020, so I was busy. So let's get into it, all the questions that you guys have had about an update on foster adoption and the kids and all that other stuff. Okay, so the first question is, what happened to the bonus kids to make you decide they're not a good fit for you and your family? For those who are new to the channel, bonus kids are what I refer to my foster children as. I had my son, and then I had 4 bonus kids, and they were part of a huge sibling set. I only had 4 of them. 4 more of them were elsewhere. So it was just myself and all these kids by myself. Anywho, they have a special place in my heart because we had great times. They are loving children. I actually miss them a lot. They came with a lot of challenges. They had very aggressive behavior. They were physically aggressive. They had self-harming behaviors. They had sexualized, inappropriate sexual behaviors. And then we had the trauma that they had experienced. And I'm going to go ahead and say, as I've said in my other videos, which now that I'm done dealing with that particular family, I'm going to go ahead and it's set to private, and you guys were like, where'd those videos go? I put them to private because there was so much going on with that case in the family, and the social worker in the county that I was in, it was so much. So I just set it to private because I don't want to deal with it. But if you were a part of the Facebook group, I told you what was up with that. And if I can remember, if I don't forget, I'm gonna go ahead and reset it to public so you guys can just watch it. But I said in those videos, oh my God, if that wasn't some of the worst social work I have seen, and speaking as a person who did almost a decade in CPS, the social worker that was assigned to the case from the county who were supposed to be making life decisions for these children did a horrible job, period. And I say that because she never came to see us. She never came to visit us. She didn't FaceTime us or anything, but she was making decisions for these children, like letting them go for visits and overnights. But how, when you haven't come to see us to see how their time in my home has been, they're in these intensive services and have such high needs from the trauma they've experienced due to their removal reasons, and you're going to return them without addressing those and making sure they have the tools to be successful and etc. Anywho, I don't want to get back to that because it's going to make me mad. I've never seen such poor social work ever. That might not be true. There are a lot of bad social workers in the world, but there are a lot of amazing, great social workers in the world too. So, anywho, I want to be like, yeah, that's the reason why I gave notice for the kids. No, it's not. I was riding the waves with them, and I understand that when you take in foster children, they come with challenges, they come with trauma, and they need to be loved on, and they need patience, and they need security. So I understood that. The reason why I gave notice, which I think is one of the questions from the Facebook group of why I no longer kept the kids and why I gave notice, is because, as I told you, earlier in 2020, I ended the engagement that I was in, and towards the ends of 2020, I decided to relocate back to my home city. Had nothing to do with the kids. Yeah, they were a handful. The case ended up crazy because they ended up going home for visits, etc. And they will come back with the most challenging behaviors after the visit, like extreme things. We'll talk about that in a different video. So in a nutshell, that is what happened with those particular children. They came, it was very challenging. I held on for most of 2020. However, I chose to come back to my home city, and I relocated, and I gave notice. And so that is why I don't have those particular siblings anymore. How has balancing your personal life with your son and the foster kiddos? Oh, how was balancing your personal life with your son and foster kiddos? What personal life? I probably think that's more so to do with COVID than anything else. Everything was shut down last year. So, personal life, hell. And if there was no Rona, would I have had a personal life? As I said, I was, recovering from ending an engagement. I wasn't looking to have a personal life, as in the dating world, but socializing, I still talk to my friends, still video chatted with my friends. A couple of them came down a couple of times last year to visit me. So in that sense, I can still have a socialization life. I don't know, but if you're just saying overall in general, girl, I think this is female, yeah, girl, being a parent, whether it's my own child or to my bonus children, don't stop me from living. No, ma'am. Okay, get a sitter and be in these streets. How was going to the store and other places outside of the home with so many children as a single parent? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you the challenge. I have a vehicle that seats 8 people, so blessedly, all of the car seats for all 5 of the children fit nice and securely, and when gave us extra wiggle room. But when you got in the store, and you got 5 kids, 2 that absolutely need to be in the cart, but they take up all the room in the cart, and I need to put the food in it or whatever we're getting, it's just like I'm not dragging 2 carts. So I started doing things, which I'm sort of grateful that COVID came around, because it made online shopping, delivery, and or pickup more popular. And so I started utilizing that. I said, I can't be in the streets with these kids. I won't do it. It's too much work. The baby was always hungry in the middle of shopping. Then his diaper got poopied. And then the 1-year-old would get poopity doopity. And then, if we were having behavioral moments with our older bonus kids, it just turned into such interesting time. But I will say, after our honeymoon phase was over and as they got used to my boundaries and my schedule and the consistency of my disciplinary actions, it was easier going to the store. I remember somebody being like, "Oh, you got so many with you and they're so well behaved." Yes, because you ain't gonna shame me in these streets. You don't act right. Are you still available fostering others? Absolutely. Well, I relocated back here. Sorry, my dog's snoring. Hopefully you can't hear it. I relocated back here. I took several months just to get my bearings, to get settled, adjusted, reestablished, and to kind of nurture and pour into my son to make sure that he was okay, because it was a lot of transition for him too, and as a mother, I felt like I was making poor decisions, and I just needed to kind of reinvest in us and before I start pouring into other people. And this is just me being transparent and vulnerable with you guys, that I relocated, uprooted and relocated him, changed his school, changed his home, took him away from everyone he knew, and then did it again to come back. So I just needed to take some time off to make sure that Isaias is okay too. I have initiated the process to opening my home up again to foster, and I actually have a meeting in 2 days to kind of get the show back on the road again. I think it's supposed to say, has COVID-19 lifestyle been easier? In what way? No, now that I think about it, because the kids couldn't go to school. So I had 3 preschool and or school age children who could not go to school. I was completely isolated because, again, I was in a new city. I had no friends, family out there. It was just myself with 5 kids, 5 and under. I felt isolated. So for particularly me with COVID, no. It made everything harder because I was a teacher, I was a cook, I was a mommy, I was everything. I was all they had, and they were all I had, and COVID put a strain on just our socialization. And I think it also impacted the county's presence in our home when we really needed them, because there was so much going on with their behaviors. And it also impacted their mental health and behavioral health services because they weren't coming to the home to engage with them. So no, COVID made things difficult. Has Isaiah been affected by the bonus kids? Yes. As I said, they were violent, and he was on the tail end of some of those outbursts. He was present to witness some of their self-harm activities, and I'd be foolish to say that he wasn't impacted by witnessing that. They had sexual behavior. They were acting out sexually. Like, for example, one of the children, she had a doll. The sibling took the doll and then began to insinuate oral sex on the doll. They also did other more significant things. I don't want to disclose too much, where I could not trust them to be alone, period, especially with one another during times of any bathroom use, any clothes changing use, or just alone. So I had to be very, very diligent with watching them to not only safeguard myself, safeguard my son, but safeguard them from one another, because they were distributing predatory behaviors. So yes, my son was impacted from having these particular children in our home. I kind of just glossed over that last question without ending it more concretely with saying he was impacted by being present and witnessing, and sometimes on the receiving end of some of the more aggressive activities. And in those moments, as well as once the children were gone, I made sure that he was emotionally, mentally healthy. We addressed it in the ways that we needed to make sure that he is okay and is healed from those experiences, because I don't want to have my son traumatized trying to help other children. I'm trying to figure out how I'm trying to say it. Basically, I'm not going to choose fostering over my child's overall well-being. So if it ever gets to the point where I feel like this is having one too many impactful traumatic experiences on him, we're done. Yeah. I don't know if that came out right. I'm gonna always choose him first. What are your thoughts on RAD? Any experience with it? Have your family, friends reacted attached to your kiddos? Okay, so multiple questions in one. My thoughts on RAD. You know how on the questionnaire form, it asks you the behaviors that you're willing to accept and or not accept when you take placement of a child? I skipped over RAD. And RAD, for those who aren't aware, is reactive attachment disorder, meaning your foster and or adoptive child has been diagnosed with difficulties being able to attach to caregivers. I skipped that because working as a CPS social worker, I have come across that many times, and I have seen the challenges that having a child that just doesn't form attachments with anyone can pose. I don't want to conquer it. I don't want to deal with it. Ooh, does that sound callous? I don't know. But that's my truth. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to navigate it. I get a child who is undiagnosed and then all of a sudden they're diagnosed, okay, I will jump that hurdle when I get there, but I'm not going to willingly go into I'm not going to willingly choose a child who I know has RAD, because it's just not a disability that I want to attempt to nurture. Each to their own. More power to you guys who are dealing with it. Let me know how it's going for you if you have a placement with RAD. How are you navigating? How are you navigating? That's I would love to know. How have your family reacted attached to your kiddos? So I've been very blessed and fortunate that my inner circle are amazing. They are so supportive of my foster and my adoptions, and they treat my bonus kids as if they are my children too. So they still are auntie or, etc. They talk to the kids, they interact with the kids, they hold them. They're amazing people, and I'm glad that I have their support. Have you been in contact with the children / parents from your previous placement? No, and I wanted to. And I kind of get a little bit emotional because I miss them a lot sometimes. You know, you spend a great deal of time with people and you get attached. And I say this will make little comments about, oh, you remember them? You know, he'll say their names. You remember they like this and we did this with them? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But no. I want to say that I would have loved to remain in contact and just kind of help ease the transition of them being in a new placement. However, things at the end got so raggedy. I'm gonna have to make a different video about just how crazy that case got, because things got so raggedy at the end that there's no way that I was gonna be able to maintain connection, because the adults involved in the situation. Anywho, what happened with the foster children? What can we learn from your experience with fostering multiple children? I explained already what happened to them. You can learn from my experience by, if you are a single adult with minimal support, I don't recommend taking in 9,000 children that are so dependent. If they're older children, more self-sufficient, they can go pour a bowl of cereal if you don't want to cook, or, you know, they don't need help brushing their teeth and bathing their bodies. It's easier. But when you have children that all 100% depend on you to get their meals, bath time, clothing out, hair combed, owies and boo-boos, quality time, because you have to give them quality time. I need to make a time to read a book and a story just to you. I need to make a time just to hug and snuggle on you. Hey, you want to tell me a joke? Come on. But when you have so many, it's just one of you, you get spread really thin, and it makes self-care so challenging, because the baby that I had newborn, he was colic. And when I tell you I did not sleep, woo, I don't know how I navigated. I was like pulling up my wig hairs. Yeah, so I don't recommend as a single, like if there's two of you to kind of just split the kids, great. But if it's just one of you, I don't recommend 5 kids, 5 and under. And honestly, I didn't intend to do that. I was told those 4 children and their siblings were going to go to grandparents, and that at most it'll be like a 2-week, as the grandparents get licensed really quickly through RFA, Resource Family Approval Process, to get their home cleared to have the children there. Things happen, which I guess is fair because life happens. The grandparents became unqualified to take them. They didn't believe the allegations that were made against the parents, so they couldn't display protective capacity, so they could not place the children with them. Hence, they were with me a great deal of 2020. Any more testimonies about what God has done for you in the past? Yes, many testimonies about what God has done for me in the last few months. You know, I have secured a job in order to relocate back to my home city. I have a nice, comfortable residence to lay my head down. My vehicle works without issue. I have always had a spirit of increase on my life, so I have never had to, I don't worry about how am I going to pay for this or that, because I know it always comes in. And during that transition of moving back here, getting a new job, getting a new place to stay, I was like, oh my gosh, I sold my house. Like, why did I do that? Now rent for a little apartment cost me as much as my $1,800 mortgage cost. But I'm not worried because the Lord blesses me. So yes, God does great things for me. I'm healthy and happy. My son's healthy and happy. God's done it. Are you still in social work? No, I quit a year ago, right at the start of the Rona, which probably wasn't. If I knew the Rona was coming, I probably wouldn't have quit my job. But the funny thing is, I can always go back up to 3 years after I quit. So I still have time, if I really want to go back and do social work. I'm just choosing not to. Dating while having a child. You know, I made a video a long time ago about dating and being a parent, a single parent. I'm currently not dating. I might entertain the idea of it in the future. I will entertain it in the future. I'm not looking right now. I'm just focusing on myself, my son, expanding our family, and if somebody falls into our lap, great. Otherwise, it's not a priority for me at the moment. How are you and Isaiah? How is he coping with so much change? We are doing great. Isaiah!
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good.
You're doing good?
Yeah.
The people from YouTube were asking me if you were doing good or not. Anything you want to add?
I think I want to add what?
I don't know. You want to say why you're doing good? Or what makes things good? No? He's talking about he wants a YouTube channel, but he don't know what he wants to talk about. But he said he's doing good. All right, that's it. Bye. So yeah, we're doing good. Oh, and then it goes on. Bianca, aren't you sweet? She says, how are you really, with the capital really? How can we pray for you? Being a mom is so hard. OMG, what are your favorite top tips and advice you have for us? You know, sometimes I struggle with how transparent I want to be, because, and it has nothing to do with you guys, it's because people in my actual world will weaponize these videos against me. It's happened before with me being open at work. In my work life, people will try to use what I say against me. So I have to kind of navigate a little bit, like, how much do I want to disclose? But yes, I really, I'm doing okay. If you had asked me a couple of months ago with just like things going on at work, there's still things going on at work that I'm like, okay, but I'm navigating those. But my home life, my son life, my personal life, non-work related things, we are amazing. We're doing great. And I appreciate the prayers. I'm very pro pray for me if y'all believe in that sort of thing, and wish me best if you don't. And self-care, mental health is real. Depression, anxiety is real. Take care of you, because if you're not healthy, you can't be healthy for your babies. So when I need to step back, I step back, and I appreciate you guys giving me the space and opportunity to take care of me when I'm just having rough patches in life, and then being here when we come back. So don't make me cry. I'm not gonna do it. Anywho, I appreciate you guys more than I can verbally articulate. Coping with taking kids who have been exposed to COVID. There ain't no easy way to get around that. I think now it'll be easier in 2021 than it was in 2020, because, you know, there's vaccinations going around. I'm vaccinated. My son is not. So I still have the concern with, don't bring disease and famine and sickness into our household. We just gonna pray over it before we send you out into the world. As I said earlier, we had 2 bouts of quarantine because of exposure from our bonus kids going out to visit their families. And on top of that, they brought other sicknesses and diseases back to our home that spread. Still to this day, we don't know what it was, but my son ended up on, you know, medication because they came back covered in these bite bump things. I don't know if, I don't want to say scabies, I don't know, but they came back with diseases and they spread it through the household. And that's my only that's one of my hiccups with like fostering. You just never know whether it's lice or scabies Or maybe they brought a roach back in their backpack on accident. Like, the bugs. Anywho, so yeah, coping with taking in kids with COVID, I think the fear for me is less than it was in 2020. But I still have my hesitations, reservations, but they bring in so much other things, and it's just a risk that we take. Putting kids in daycare, how to. Depends on where you live. There's a lot of programs pre-COVID, and I think a lot of things are opening up now that our schools are starting to open, like early Head Start, putting a child into just standard daycares, just like you would your biological and or adopted child. You go in, fill out the application, you show them your placement agreement, which gives you authority to make, such decisions. And they may ask for vaccination records, maybe a birth certificate, ask your social worker to get it, bada bing, bada boom. Same with enrolling in school, except you don't always have to, you do not have to have certain things like vaccinations because they are foster kids, and there's a law that says that if you don't have access to those, you can't deny enrolling a foster youth. But that's a different video. Anywho, any regrets? Like what? Is it Andrea? Regrets. Oh, Nala, with your hot breath. I've had some challenging moments in life in general, as well as over the last year and a half. And you learn and you grow. If you don't learn and you grow, then I guess you'd have some regrets. But no, I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets in the decisions I've made to leave my job, to sell my home, to relocate, to take in foster youth. No, they came with, there was a lot of growth, I'll tell you that. How to get your caseworker to work with you. Huh? It depends on the ethics of the person. And sometimes, let's be forthcoming and just honest and transparent. Sometimes foster parents are annoying. Speaking from a CPS social worker standpoint, sometimes foster parents are annoying and you just don't want to deal with them. Did I ever brush them off? No, but not all workers are cut from the same cloth. Sometimes you will get on your worker's nerve and they'll ignore you. Sometimes they will be petty and remove the child to another home. Sometimes they will be slow, or they will be counterproductive to you, to what you want to see happen in the case, but at the same time, they may not be fully disclosing things, so sometimes it can seem like they're working against you when they're not. Especially if there's no conflict between the foster parent and a social worker. Sometimes it seems that the worker's not working with you because they can't tell you everything that's happening in the case and you don't quite understand. So there's different variables. Do you want to foster, adopt more children? Absolutely. Absolutely. My goal is to, and I'm actually starting, like I just said earlier, the process to get back into foster adopting. More so, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that it can be like sort of my last experience where I'm quickly matched with the foster adopt and not have to foster, then adopt. How has your son adjusted to the bonus children leaving? He was living his best life. It's an adjustment for him to go from being the only child to now being one of 5. And I think when they used to go on their visits, it's like he's like, ooh, it's quiet. I got my room to myself. I got my mom to myself. I could just mind. He used to say, I'm just gonna go mind my business. And I think for the first several weeks when they were gone, he just enjoyed minding his own business, not having to deal with the outbursts, the tantrums, the aggressions going on, not having to be hit and cussed at. Like he just was living his best life. And then it came a point in time where he actually mentioned missing the baby or missing the older children. But overall, he's fine. Do you miss working in child welfare? Advice for young social workers. Do I miss it? There are great parts of social work. Over the work I liked, the politics behind the scenes that you guys don't see, I didn't. And I'm not saying it's the same for every social work department in each county, in each city, in each state, or even in each bureau in each state or county, because I've had amazing leadership and I've had the worst, I don't even have a word for it, supervisors as a social worker. So it just depends on what you get. So I had great times as a social worker, and the work itself was enjoyable, but the poor work-life balance was not something that I wanted to live with long term, as well as I had many years of just poor supervision from upper management that really truly didn't care about child welfare, if we're gonna be honest. And by the time that I transitioned to a new bureau that seemed to care about the work that we did, I had already lost my light for the job. So do I miss working in child welfare? Depends on when you catch me. It's bittersweet now that I'm gone, but I don't have any intentions to return anytime soon. Oh, advice for young social workers. Try not to be so naive. Go into it and understand that it is, depending on what department you go into, if you're going to do CPS like I did, it is a huge responsibility. Never take lightly removing someone's child from them. Never take lightly putting someone's child up for adoption. You are impacting somebody's life forever. See the good in parents, even if they're addicts, even if they have mental health, even if they came in on domestic violence charges. Don't judge people when you go into the jailhouses. People can be redeemed. People can grow and learn and change. And there are those who aren't able to. And we must protect those children. And you must do right by them. And there will be hard days where you may lose a child because their injuries are too severe. Or if you get into maybe CSEC, like trafficked youth, they'll just disappear off the earth and you'll always wonder what happened to that child. Make sure that you are emotionally well yourself before you get into dependency work. You have to be stable, you have to be healthy in order to make sound and rational decisions going forward. Ooh, I'm sounding emotional. Let's change the subject. Ugh. Where do I live at? I live in California. I live in, I want to say Northern California. Is it considered Northern California? I have always been careful to not totally fully tell you guys where I live at, because one, I was doing social work at the time and I had active cases, and if I shared anything about my placements, my case, or maybe my youth, I didn't want people to know or maybe be able to identify. And you know, also people are crazy. Y'all don't see that I delete certain comments because people are crazy in these streets. And I have to be very protective of my whereabouts. But I am in a very popular city in Northern California. I don't even know how to end the video anymore at this point. It's been like, I feel so rusty, and maybe that's also another reason why I don't produce content, is because I do have an insecurity at this point about filming and getting in front of the camera. Like, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I just dropped my daggone phone. So I don't know, man, but I do miss you guys, and in the ideal world, like, my inner desire is to just start producing content, 1 to 2 videos a week, even if it's just something mediocre, like us having a family game night, or maybe going live and just chit-chatting with you guys. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? What do you want? I'll holla at y'all when I holla at y'all. See y'all when I see y'all. Yeah, we still friends. Y'all still like me. We still cool. I hope so. Okay, let me get out of here. And what? You want to say bye? Oh, you want to get on the camera and say bye? Gosh, not gonna know everything.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.